All right, roll call. Robert Lord.
Here.
Christy Dunnigan.
Here.
Mitch Moore.
Here.
Marty Smith. All present. All right, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from February 10th, last month?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th.
We've got a motion, we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried by all. Council reports, Christy Dunnigan.
This past week, I met with Right Tech with Lori. I'm gonna let Lori go into a little bit on what we met with Cory. You want me to? I can, I don't have a problem with that. You know, we've been working with Indy Mobile Net, so we kind of expanded out a little bit, met with Right Tech. Had a great meeting with them. So, looking forward to that, and you'll see a little information in your folder on that as well. His services are a little bit different than what we have. I think they're more up to date than what we currently use and what we have. He went over some invoicing with this and told us that there are some things that we were being charged for, we probably shouldn't have been charged for. He might be a little bit more, but he doesn't add on the extra fees. Am I correct on that, Lori?
Yeah, it's a monthly fee, no matter how many times we call him, no matter how long he has to come to the office. It is a flat rate every single month.
Doesn't charge us to reset our email addresses or our passwords or anything.
Or to call to set up a new email, because
Yeah.
it's $50 for every time I call him.
Yes.
So do we know?
And we have a direct person, a direct line, we don't have to put in a service, or we don't have to put in a service ticket, or anything like that. We pick up the phone, and we call them.
If approved, how soon can you do that?
How he can do it right away.
What, I just.
If we approve it, when can we get it started right away?
Right away. Yeah, I had done some back looking, and in, hold on, 2025, we pay, in 2025, we paid $29,145 for the current people that we have. In 24, we paid $16,000. And I was left 26, we can put in that now. So, but it's gonna vary, and going with this other one, he is, like I said, it's a straight every month, no matter how long he has to be there.
We
No
get
matter-
our-
It's not $100 per hour.
Yeah, and we get our passwords, we own the right to
Yeah, we
everything.
will own our website, we will own our phone lines, everything right now, we don't own anything.
We don't have access to any of that. So we will, when we switch companies.
Well, if we can get some sort of documentation, agreement with him, and we can vote on it as soon
Do
as.
I not make, do you not have,
You might not have, I bet we didn't.
I may not have.
No, I think we do.
because that is his proposal.
Yeah.
Right here.
No, okay,
No,
I
then
can
we
make
don't.
one.
She does have a proposal, we didn't get the copy.
Yeah, I didn't have copies of it.
You wanna hand that?
So it says 1650 minutes.
I'm good. I apologize, I was in on the meeting, so. Did you say the first 90 days was free?
Yeah, he said, you get to see how it works out for 90 days before he starts charging us.
Yes. And that's all.
Well, with your two's opinion, it's gonna be a better service at a flat rate. I'm gonna make a motion.
Well, I can vouch for the company. They do all the tech work and everything for the town of New Whiteland.
They do it for several different counties.
They do it for
towns,
a
too. Yeah.
lot of municipalities, so.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we employ this service,
What's her name?
Right, Tech Corporation.
Right Tech Corporation, starting as soon as possible. I got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Also, he can, when we go to the second part of this, he can also install a camera here and a small laptop or tablet type, 2 buttons, and we can hit the camera, we don't have to do anything else. The mics we already have, this will hook into it.
Nice.
And he can also put a lock on our door at the office, and we can buzz people in should we need to close
He's got all kinds of services that we had no idea.
But we didn't go through that, we just hit
We
the,
just
hit the
did this.
IT part first.
That's excellent.
Right.
First, okay.
All right, Mitch Moore, the council.
Yeah, so last month, we tabled the meters to try and locate the potential of a grant, and it's not looking like that's really a possibility. So I propose we go forward, paying for them the way we planned with the county edit money.
Do we still have a figure on that?
It was in last month's. It was for 566 water meters, it was 167,464, and for 569 electric meters, it was 129,730.
And those were older numbers, so I do still have to verify those.
Cause aren't we financing electric meters through EMPA, and then we're just gonna use
Yeah,
that?
we were gonna use the edit money for the water at the 167,464.
Yes. So I'm still waiting on an updated price
I'd
on
like
those.
to have an updated price before we vote on it.
We can-
Yeah, well, we're not gonna vote on tonight, but
Yeah.
table until next month. If you can get those figures for us.
We also had a meeting with AES to discuss, proposed routes for transmission lines to get from the Eagle Valley Power Plant to Monrovia. And they wanted to meet with, council members, community leaders with the county, just to try to find the best path. And it's not looking like they're coming near Brooklyn, so that's good for us. The best path we told them was to go out about 10 miles and go up the cornfields, but, they're not looking to do that either, but, it's not looking like they're gonna be coming this direction. And that's all I have.
And I think short after that, they had a, thing on the AES is trying to go private. So, it is where this is. Anything else for the council?
Nothing else.
No more, anything?
We got river cleanup coming March 21st at 9 o'clock. Meet at Three Rivers. Christie has also posted that on the website, or Facebook page, I'm sorry. And then I just have a couple of questions, like, what are we doing on the community crossing grant? Because isn't that about,
It's July.
it's 2 times a year? So we get the first-
The first one was due in February, so the next phase will be in July.
So, should we get to work on that? Because we didn't get one last year, correct?
No, we did. No, did we?
No, it was a carryover.
That was a carryover, that's right, I'm sorry.
And
Yeah,
then
we
we're
did the
not gonna
second
be around
round.
forever, so.
Are we gonna use the engineering firm to do the logistics and?
We can, I can request a price on that, on what we'd be looking at for that. If we're just going like we did the last time, based solely off, the Pacer number, I don't know that we need it. I do know we have a couple roads that need a lot
Definitely.
more than just an overlay. So I'll work with them to get a price.
Maybe do a little less,
And send us a list of the roads.
maybe do a little less, linear foot.
Okay, I
Work on the
will,
base and stuff.
Yeah, I know Fields Avenue is pretty bad.
so as far as this trailer park sewer drain repair that, I talked to you guys about in November, that me and Brad went and looked at, has any repairs been done?
Yes,
Yes, who did it? In the office?
the company that we use, Corson,
Did we pay them to fix it, or did they?
They haven't billed us yet until it's all done.
So it's not all done.
No, correct. But they're continuing to work on it amongst everything else up there. See, they do their water lines also, their water breaks.
Imagine that, they don't know.
Do you have a list of all different, sites that need repair?
Yeah, I've given that to Corson
Well, have
with
you-
what she's given me and.
Have they been get back with you when they fix something so you can check it off? Or
No, I have to get with him.
actually, after they tell you they've fixed it, go and inspect it?
Right. I have not.
Anything else, Barbara?
I heard that the Haydite plant is closing down. I guess some of us knew, but some of us didn't. I don't know that that really matters now that they don't use much water from us, but they are closing. And I was wondering if we found anybody on the new maintenance person.
So I've interviewed a guy
Mhm.
and I'd like to move forward with him.
Did you bring him here?
No, not until I get your guys'.
Oh,
I mean, do you want me to continue with the interview and then hire him, or do you wanna sit down and talk to him?
well, we need to sit down and talk to him. That's how we did with you.
Well, I mean, I know what I'm looking for. And what the, the things that I see in him is what I could do with him and train him. He knows nothing about the business, which is nothing wrong with that. He's mechanically inclined, and he's trainable.
I would.
He also lives in town, so that's another
Session on
plus.
that. And interview.
Well, I feel if we're hiring a supervisor or something, it shouldn't have board approval, but if a supervisor is hiring labor below, underneath him, he should have a full reign.
That's really not how the town works, but okay.
I'm not gonna say micromanage if Mike.
It's not micromanaging, it's
Well-
doing your job, buddy.
Well, it's, you gotta put some trust in your,
Mhm.
or we'll be out there doing his job, cause we don't
I hear you.
have faith in what he's doing. All right,
Does everybody else feel that way?
does anybody else wanna have Mike bring his potential hiree in?
Because I can do one by myself if I'm correct, if nobody else wants to.
How about we have two board members with Mike doing the interview, and then,
Yeah, in the past, we've done 2 board members. That's what I just,
I can help on
so there's 2
all
board
right, so
members.
if
So
you
I'd
wanna
like to
set
be
up
one
a,
of them.
if you wanna set up a time, yeah, we'll have two board members, yourself present,
Okay.
interview.
He can decide now who the two are, so he knows who to put.
I'm gonna be one of them.
You wanna be one of them, Barbara?
Yes.
I can do the other one since we're both don't work.
Okay.
The part easier, so that way they can do it during the day, because my schedule's pretty packed, I'm sure Mitch's is too.
And Mike, you just get with us too. So,
All right. I'll get back with him and see when he is available, because he is currently working.
okay.
Is Eli still working every weekend, or are we giving him a break?
I have offered, he has refused. I am next weekend, he asked if I could take it, I said yes. So, since I'm gonna be here anyway for the river cleanup, I'll come in and do his check for him and all that.
Thank you.
That's not next.
That's mine.
Anything else, Barbara?
Yeah.
Marty Smith, anything?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Department heads, Marshall Shaw.
The only thing I have is we're losing a lot more lights in PD. Lori got me a new PD credit card, so I am gonna go buy the lights and get those changed out for PD. So you'll probably see that bill come through.
Okay.
Other than that, that's it.
Mike Ryle.
So, for the month of February, we had that main break on the 9th, up here on Church and Mill, on the corner. Once once the asphalt plants open up, we'll have to get a bid to get that patched, and then I'll have to pour back the concrete for the sidewalk. So work orders, we had 35 work orders, and then I had 40 locate tickets. I've got cold patch already on site. As soon as the weather breaks and it stops raining, we can get asphalt back in the holes. So, basically, I was gonna talk about the lift stations and stuff like that, the project, but Keegan's here, he can fill us in on that.
Did we get the, sinkhole taken care of, on Main Street? In between the,
Or the,
apartments and the water tower?
so that is what that is, it's not a sinkhole, yes, it is, but it's not. It's not going anywhere other than where it's right at. There's a storm drain right there, the top portion of that storm is broke, and it's all filtered in. The bottom of it, I've looked in it, it's still good, it's just that top portion, so it's not eating out underneath the road or anything like that. So as soon as I get a chance to get to that, we'll get on it.
Right. Something you'll be able to do, or?
Yeah, should, yeah. Yeah, it's all PVC, so just cutting it and getting it all patched in and then putting the grate back on top of it and putting dirt around it. So.
Are we getting, close to getting the holiday lights?
As soon as this weather, yeah, just,
With only two guys, it's kinda hard to.
it's, with everything that we have to do with two guys, it's hard to get to everything.
I just put it on your radar.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
Elijah?
I have a question. Have we decided what we're gonna do with all the stuff up there, with all the old vehicles and stuff like that, Mike?
I would like to surplus everything that's on that list that we need to do, that way we can start getting rid of stuff. And then maybe one of you guys and me get together and, put stuff on Gov Deals to auction off.
Okay.
To
We
get
were
rid of
supposed to
it.
get together on that, but you've been too busy to,
I've been going over that list and checking off the things that we need to get rid of.
yeah, and I talked to
So,
you about it.
I have been working on that,
Yeah. So
so.
I'll take care of it, Bruce, it'll be good.
You can get it uploaded on the Gov website and all that, Marty?
Yeah, I'll do the best I can.
I'll help you, we'll get together.
Yeah. But Mike's been so busy with every other things going on in town right now, that's a little bit less important right
Yeah.
Alright, I guess Elijah's not here.
No.
Lori Van Driver?
Just to let you know, the new disconnect process is in effect, and our first round of disconnects will be on the 16th of March. We did, of course, the penalties are as usual on the following business day, the 15th of every month. And then on the first, when the bills go out, we're also sending out a disconnection notice, so that they've got a 2 weeks notice before the disconnection starts. We also did put in with bills, an explanation of the new process, and how there will not be phone calls or any of that anymore, or door knockers. Now, if we do disconnect, there will be a door knocker placed that gives the total of how much would need to be paid in order to get, your services turned back on. But so far, everything's been well received, so it's been nice. The other thing I'm wanting to see if you could look into is to see if there's a way that we could prohibit the use of public requests for commercial people. I got one that come in, that's for the police department, they're wanting purchase orders, a whole bunch, a big long list of all this information. I did find there's an IC code of 5-14-3-3.
Can you look it up?
And that there is other towns that are using ordinances to prohibit commercial use of public requests. So, I didn't know if that would be something that we could look into.
Legally, is that right, Lee?
Yeah, but if we think they're gonna use it for that, not if it's like that by nature, right? What are you trying to?
I got a request from, it says it's for, it's a data branch research team.
Say it's,
A data branch research team,
okay,
and it's out of Dover, Delaware,
all right,
and they were wanting a whole bunch of information on the police department. And they're sending it out to all the, it's been on the listserv, they've been sending it out to all the different towns.
Yeah, I think I've seen it from
Okay,
others.
and there's other towns that have already got an ordinance in place, but it's not for commercial. Our public request is for, the public of the town, or just not
Our
commercial
website would
use.
have all we wanted if it was.
Working on that, getting a new IT, yeah.
No, the webpage.
That's what, we're getting a new IT, we'll have that, a different webpage.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through, Indiana Office of Technology instead of through our old,
If not, we also have another. backup.
yeah, I've got a backup plan, because
Yeah.
this is not working, this was the other
Yeah.
reason I'm trying to go with a different IT, it's not working.
Yeah.
I sent something off a month ago,
I would
and
like
we're
to
just
get
now,
two bids on that.
we're just now responding a month later.
IoT is free.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay, that's all I have,
Okay. And you're in training the rest of this week?
yes.
Okay. Anybody from the park board?
Okay, the Easter egg hunt is set for April the 4th. Registration starts at 10:30. Easter egg hunt will start at 11 o'clock. They'll have a flyer ready to go out on Facebook this week. 4th grade and below are for relatives of Brooklyn residents or Brooklyn STEM Academy is what they're doing for this year. Also, for the park board, their ship was damaged out here, so had to be some big people take the back of the voters off, so that ship is probably gonna have to be taken out as soon as it gets warm enough. It's gonna have to go bye-bye. So, we'll have to look for some, I've already put some feelers out for grants, but some of the grants won't be until it goes this year for next year. So, there's several different locations that we're looking at.
Need to talk to the lawyers, because they would have no time.
Yeah, so. We definitely need more lights in the park, it's pitch black out there, so anybody can get out there and do whatever they want. That's why we're having damage, we don't have enough lights out there, we don't have any lights on the park. Only thing we've got this one right here. Even if we put some some solar lights out there, I think it's worth putting out there.
I can talk to IMPA, see if they have any
Okay.
kind of,
You know, and I think we need to
Anything they can
invest in
do.
some trail cameras out there as well.
Yeah, I know IMPA right now is, their light situation is on back order, cause some of the work orders I have is for lights.
Mhm.
And I've talked with Chris, and everything they have right now has been used, and the order that, they're waiting on their order, and it's been on back order.
I think we need some trail cameras out there as well, so maybe we can catch the people who's being.
Or just some cameras.
Well, trail cameras, you don't need battery, you don't need Wi-Fi, they work off SD cards and you can still pull them up on your phones. I've used them at several of my properties and they're really inexpensive and have great photos, so.
Okay, moving on to old business. Electric water meters, nobody hit it on there. a few minutes ago.
yeah,
Same.
so just, we're
Get your updated,
waiting on the updated pricing, just giving you the update that it doesn't look like there's, grants available.
and the inputs is they're responsible for installing the electric.
Yes, and
So the edit money would be used to buy the water meters
And
labor.
install them, yep, yeah, I've been in contact with a guy that's looking to, you know, he's wanting to install them, and he's wanting to come out and do a survey of what we have, so that we can kind of build a scope of work to put out for bid, you know, because it's not just opening a pit and taking out the old meter,
Right.
putting a new meter in. We have several meters that have to be dug out, or whole, housings that need to be replaced. So he was gonna work on a proposal to do a survey, so that we can go out to bid.
Right.
So who's gonna do the water rooms?
That's what, we'll have to put it out for bid.
Yeah. As we all seen the water.
But we're not putting out the electric ones out for bid.
IMPA will install them for us.
That's part of the cost, right? Yeah.
What's their interest rate?
3%, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
All right, park penalties. We've been talking about this since December.
Yeah.
Last, meeting, you said you contacted your lawyer, he was on vacation.
Right. I've talked to him, I think 3 times, and he asked for a record of bills and payments to see, I think they were all on his side of this, the current ownership shocked to learn that there had been so many late payments over the last, it turns out we gave 5 years worth, but,
I went over.
they weren't aware of it. And I think I've got this right. They use a third-party pay service, so because they are so big and have so many parks, they have contracted with some third party who processes payments. I think that third party has eaten these penalties.
Okay.
One of the reasons I think that the ownership wasn't aware that they were paying penalties is because they weren't. I think the third party, because, some assumptions here, but because they valued the contract, and because they must have accepted that it was their fault, they have paid it. Okay, so, they're not sure how this current one that's pending will work out. They've asked me to present a couple of questions tonight. One is there any other way for us to get to them their bill? Because we mailed to Maryland. Huh?
We email it. They
We
did
can
it
do
that
now?
day.
Yeah, there we
Okay,
go.
well, that answers that question.
Yeah, we email it and mail it.
Perfect, that answers that question. The other is there another way they can pay it?
Yeah.
An ACH payment?
We
They
don't
can
know.
call it in.
No.
They can sign up for the auto pay that we have that is pulled on the 12th of every month. They can do that.
So that is an ACH payment.
Yeah, that's what the whole, everybody in the town is allowed to do, and they
Okay.
just have to
So
fill out
that's
a form.
available?
That is available.
Okay.
They've been doing it overnight, we've been getting it overnight.
Yeah, well,
Here lately.
I mean, they've been very cordial, productive conversations. I think that this Phil Seaver, as his name is, you know, when I first shared this with him, he's saying, you know, how in the world could they have let this happen? And then went back to the client and was sort of gonna admonish him for having done such a poor job of making payments. I think that's when he learned that, well, it doesn't fall directly on the client because they're using this third party. They still would like to figure out a way to do it, to get their bill faster and arrange for their payment to be paid some way other than by some courier service. So he'll be happy, I think, to get those answers. I think they'll probably they'll take advantage of the auto pay. The emailing, they're already getting it. I think he's probably gonna fall out of his chair when I tell him that, because I think
So
he
they're
thinks.
getting it before the first. So
I mean, he
they-
was trying to say that, you know, they only get 15 days, and I said, well, everybody only gets 15 days. That's how it is with every utility in the world that I'm aware of.
The day that
Yeah.
we mail the bills out is the same day that we send that email out.
And you know, do you know whether they get it? Do you have reason to know that when the email sent that somebody receives it?
It's not sent back,
Not ever sent back.
undelivered or anything like that, that's the only thing I can tell you. It
All right.
doesn't say that it's been delivered, I don't know.
Who is it emailed to?
It constantly changes, the address constantly changes, so I can't tell you, we'll have to go in and look.
So
and
one
see.
thing I could do is say to him, make sure that we've got the
Yeah.
email address to which you want it
Yeah,
sent. Okay.
yeah.
So that's the report. He is asking if you're willing to kick it down to your April meeting until we can get these questions answered and worked out.
Well-
I said I would ask.
I know we asked 2 months ago for a tracker number, so because they said they sent it on a certain day, we didn't get it until 30 days later.
Well, they're not disputing that.
I know, but we never received the tracking number. It seems like every time we come in, there's another reason why they haven't come to terms to pay it. And every time you give him a call, it's taking that bill from up here, cutting it down a little bit, because we're paying you to talk to them, so.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna end up, depending on how many conversations you all have, whittling down to where we're losing money, so.
I'm not gonna spend $7,000.
Well, I understand that, it's just, I'm just,
Okay.
but, eventually we just need to say, hey.
Well,
you-
that's your decision.
Well, I make a motion that we've kicked this thing around since you know, I got a call in December, and we've kicked it around since December, and now it's March, going into April.
I make a motion, I'll send a motion. that
Yeah,
they
I make a
do
motion,
it.
we, do what we need to do to,
Well, you just tell them it's not forgiven. That's simple enough.
and, you know, and they can,
For that matter, I think that, unless you make a motion to forgive it, I'll just tell them that we're not gonna postpone, the receipt of their payment any longer.
it sounds like
I don't think
the
you
new
do.
ownership of the, Wilbraham community should have kicked the tires before they bought the car to see that their bills went.
I'm not advocating for
But, you
you
know,
to
they're
forgive
kind
it,
of putting it on
postpone
our
it.
shoulders, we're not the ones that made the
Yeah.
payment on it.
I mean, I don't think you have to justify making them do what the rule requires.
Our clerk
I'm
says-
just
our clerk says it's
communicating.
electronically sent.
Right.
There's a couple different options. I did talk to one lady in December, and she said they don't wanna do a credit card payment, because they can only do so much per
Yeah.
charge, and then it charges them, I don't know.
3%.
Well,
Yeah, it's
again, it's
definitely-
not our place to run their business for them. I would hope that based on this, they would figure out how to take advantage of auto pay and make sure this doesn't happen. I also think that if the penalty's paid, it's probably paid by the service who makes payment for them and not coming out of their pocket anyway.
Right.
So, it's okay, I'll let it go.
And I forget the total amount, it was $7,100.
Yeah, that's 7,000, somewhere in that range.
I make a motion, we, go ahead and proceed on collecting the, late payment fee.
I'll second.
Yep.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried by all. All right. All right, next thing, HWC, Keegan, sewer project.
So, Division A, that's the collection system and lift station portion of the project. Recent things that have been done, they've got the valve vault and wet well for the old State Road 67 lift station set. That's at Sunset Lane and Old State Road 67. They also completed the gravity sewer and storm sewer work, for the old State Road 67 site. They've started work at the Main Street lift station. They've got, the existing valve vault fence, and shed removed. They're currently bypassing the lift station so they can work on it. They've got the wet well top slab replaced, new pumps, I believe, are in, and the new valve vault is set, so they'll start working on the interior piping next, I imagine. The SSI is close to being done with the 12-inch force main down Tidewater. That's going to the wastewater treatment plant, so that should be complete here in the next, I would say, few weeks at the most. And they are beginning work on the school lift station, over here next to White Lick. They're replacing pumps, controls, the wet well, top slab and hatch, and putting in a new valve vault there. So from there, they'll go, to Mill Street lift station, and then Church Street lift station. So that's kind of SSI schedule for Division A. The latest pay application, pay app number 9, was for $380,380. Total, so amount due is $361,361, with the remainder being held in retainage. So that's kind of Division A. Division B, the wastewater treatment plant, obviously the EQ tank is complete, sitting up on the hill. Right now, they're working on the UV structure, converting the chlorine contact tank to a UV disinfection system. So they've got walls placed, most of the walls placed, they're finishing that up. All the siding and roofing are complete on the chemical building, and they're finishing up the electrical building siding soon. They'll move on from there, they'll start doing all the valve vaults and site piping, then to the SBRs, and then finally the digester will be the last thing they do according to their schedule. So their last pay app, they had pay app number 10, amount due is $202,293 with the just over 10,000 being held in retainage. That's sort of the update, and if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Sounds like we're on schedule, right? We're not too far behind.
Division A is a little behind schedule just because A, the weather early in the year, and 2, equipment lead times.
Right.
So, yeah, their substantial completion is April 4th. They'll likely need an extension. So based on lead times, they're just now getting panels into the lift stations, so. Division B, obviously, since they got started later, their substantial completion is until the end of the year. So, they're close to on schedule, I would say.
How close is that vault on Sunset to the existing sewer line coming out of the mobile home community? Is it gonna be a major project to connect that, or is it just a?
The lift station itself is just right there on the corner. The contractor placed a doghouse manhole, basically connected to the sewer from the mobile home park, and they've connected it to the wet well.
Okay, so
It's not currently in use, it's still going, east across, Old State Road 67, to Church Street and down through the rest of the system right now.
I have a question, I don't know if you can answer or not, but we used to have a meter that we read there. Is there still a meter for that trailer park that gets read?
That flow meter is still there and it is red.
Yeah, I know the meter talking, I don't know, I imagine it is,
Yeah.
but.
And that's how we figure out their bill?
No,
Their bills are unmetered, the flat rate.
If we have a meter, I would.
That's not what the,
Unmetered.
what's it called? The litigation.
anybody have any questions for Keegan or HWC?
Are you requesting approval of these pay apps, or are you just reporting?
I'm just reporting progress, yeah. Usually I send the pay apps to Christie and Lori, so.
He's just coming and give an update, quarterly update for everybody.
So I saw one of the divisions sometime in July is gonna be complete, and then the other one
Yeah,
closer to fall.
Division A.
Division A, I stressed to them, there's an urgency with Division A, just because you have, funding that you're trying to get with Division B. So rural development, which is where you're getting your funding for Division A, they have allotted the money that they've allocated to the project that was left over from Division A to pay for Division B. So SRF, who will be potentially funding Division B, they wanted to see the project complete, is my understanding, to ensure that those funds were there when they go to finance Division B, the Division B project. So, yeah, the project will need to be complete before June 30th, is the route that I'm taking, or at least what I'm telling the contractor that we need to hit, so.
Any other questions for Keegan? Thank you. All right, moving on to new business. Yeah, Steve Rock.
Good to see everybody again. So, just carrying on from what Keegan was talking about, we had the project, Division A, Division B. We originally were targeting RD for our financing, and RD said, didn't have enough money to do that. So the reason that, they're funding part of Division B is because, the loan term and their interest, if the loan term was longer, the interest rate was less. So I asked them if they would fund part of Division B, the leftover money that they had, and they said yes, which was a good thing for us. We get longer loan term, lower interest rate, which means less of a payment for customers. And then we had Division B, that most of it we still had to fund. Division A was 9.9 million, Division B is 7.414. And we're having to go to the open market. If we go to the open market, it might be 30-year loan term and higher interest rates. We like the state revolving loan fund. I've always liked state revolving loan fund. We had applications to state revolving loan fund, and so we asked them if they would consider funding this, even though the project was already bid. Usually, you don't get involved until involved projects are already bid. They said they'd make an exception this time, and they would. And now we've been struggling with the SRF. We had a two-phase rate increase in 2025. First phase was to close our RD loan, so that we could show RD that we had enough money in rates and charges that would pay for the ongoing expenses of operation, maintenance, repair, and replacement, plus the debt service on our existing debt, plus the RD debt. And then in August, September, we finalized the amount on Division D, and we raised rates to close the loan on that. And we started to do that, and the SRF got concerned with the loan part. And so I filed my due diligence, and they asked me to file again. I filed it again, and then it got towards the end of the year, and we had this problem with Mobile Home Park was deciding that they were going to reduce the number of connections they had by 30%. So they've done that. So here we are. We lost 32 connections with the Mobile Home Park. On an annual basis, that's about $175,000.
So how many trailers are they being built for?
Lori lost 32, so we had what, 494 to start with, so we had 494 minus 32, would that be right? I think that's right.
462.
We were billing them out about $71,000 a month, and now we're billing them out about $57,000.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right around.
Dollar amount.
So we raised our rates in September to be able to close our loan with the SREF from the remainder of Division B. And then to do that, the SREF has this simple rule that you have to have rates and charges in effect that will be sufficient to pay for the annual cost of operation, maintenance, repair, replacement, debt service on your existing debt, debt service on your current debt service reserve, which we have to build up over a 5-year period. Plus, you gotta show 1.25, what they call debt service coverage, which is a ratio, which just means that your gross revenues and your operation maintenance, that's a numerator, and the denominator is your maximum debt service has to equal 1.25. So, when we lost customers, we lost revenue, which means that I'm back here to tell you today that if we wanna close this loan with the SREF, and they said that we've got till June 30th to close it, or else look for other funding, because they've been hanging out with us too long. And they're still the best interest rate and the best long-term and the lowest cost finance rate. I had a deal priced today for $10 million, and it was, it cost me $300,000 in fees from the lender. We got a $5,000 fee from the SREF. So that's a $295,000 savings if we can just continue with the SREF. But to continue with the SREF, and really to continue with anybody, open market for the SRF. Again, to stay compliant with rural development, we've got to raise rates to make up for the money we lost from the Mobile Home Park. So that's $175,000. That means an additional 12.07% increase in rates across the board. Mobile Home Park's rates are gonna go up too, you know. Yeah, it's not just the other customers, it's all customers. But it means I have to come back to you and ask you to consider another rate increase, 12.07% across the board. On top of what we've already done, and this will enable us to close the loan, which we've had many discussions here about the Division A and Division B and how they're required to get us off the item agreed order. And if we're not off the item agreed order, then item can take action against the town for non-compliance, and that's penalties, and then we still have to do the work. And the more we delay, it seems like costs go up the more we delay. So it's, we've talked about this before, you don't really have a lot of good options. And I'm sorry that we've gotten to this point, but you had no control over the Mobile Home Park, I have no control over the Mobile Home Park. And they've, what the process will be now is if you would introduce the rate ordinance that Lee has prepared, then we will give you a schedule for a public hearing process. And that public hearing requires one notice in the newspapers of general publication 10 days prior to the public hearing. I will show up at the public hearing, and I'm sure other people will too, to help explain the need for this and how it's not really anybody's fault, it's just the way things work. And then that increase will go into effect sometime later on. What do you think, June, July, for the implementation of the?
Well, if it's April 14th, yeah, I would hope
We can-
June rather than July, but yeah.
We can pick a date, and I'm on July, that works out well with some time, but, I need the rate ordinance to be adopted at that public hearing prior to closing on our loan with the SRF, because I've got to project to them what our revenues are gonna be for 2026, and show those revenues, and we look at 2025, expenses, plus the $63,000 of additional expense that we're gonna have for the project, will allow us to pay both operation maintenance costs, pay for the debt service on the current debt, the RD debt, and the new SRF debt, that still brings that 1.25 expense.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that gonna pay for the whole project? You're not gonna have us raise it anymore?
I love that question, it's a great question, I can't predict the future,
Well,
you know,
if we're getting this money,
so, we're, good question. The State Revolving Loan Fund and Rural Development and then your other lenders have a requirement that you have to keep rates and charges, it's called rate covenant, it's in your bond ordinance, that the rates and charges have to be sufficient to pay your expenses of operation, maintenance, and replacement. So periodically, they may ask you to prove that your rates are sufficient to pay your expenses, pay your debt service, and still have this coverage requirement, which is their safety net, that, you know, that you can get a little bit of hard times and you need to adjust your rates. I'm not foreseeing, you know, I always like to set rates for 3 to 5 years. I always say, look at your rates every 3 to 5 years. I've been back in front of you more often than that because we're doing a lot here. But I would like to think these rates would be good for 3 to 5 years, but certainly.
so no more on the project, that will pay for the whole project?
Yeah, as long as the mobile home park stays the same, as long as we don't have other customers that don't leave, you know, looking at a stable environment here and stable revenues coming in, you know, and we all think they're gonna be stable. I mean, this is essential services. People need water, you know, they need sewage, they need electricity, and there's not a whole lot they can do to reduce those things. So, yeah, in my belief, these rates are sufficient to close our loan and to continue on, into the next 3 to 5 years without something major happening, like a mobile home park deciding to do something differently, or you losing a major customer. You might gain customers, and that would make things better and make your rates last longer. But to close the loan with the SRF, to fund the remainder of Division D, to get off your agreed order, is gonna require you to, introduce this rate ordinance.
I have another question.
Yes.
On the rates, like the 3,000 gallon rate, and then we go to the base charge per size meter, how can the first one, the 3,000, and then the other one for the meter size is 15,000 gallons? Why shouldn't they be the same?
1,500 gallons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they be the same? Cause if you're gonna use 3,000 gallons of water, you're gonna have 3,000 gallons of sewer.
So, there are different ways in Indiana and across the United States to set up rates, and for water rates and sewer rates, user rates, and I have a similar setup. You got your minimum or base rate, and then your volumetric charge, based on water consumption for your sewer rate. And at some point, there's always that minimum that needs to be collected, because it costs the town something to have somebody connected to the system. So, you know, if you use no volume, there's gotta be something that they can pay. The way your rates were set up historically, and I didn't change it, because I hate to change rate structure when I go from rate increase to rate increase, because if we change rate structure, somebody gets a bigger increase than somebody else. And it's easy for us to go through here and say, like today, it's 12.07% rate increase, and it's 12.07 for everybody. You know, it's your big customers, your little customers, it's everybody. If we change the structure of the rates, the way we see them in front of you, then some people are gonna be winners and some are gonna be losers. So the reason that's in there, that minimum allowed volume, is so that people get something from their base charge. And that the base charge allows you to get something from customers whether you use any volume or not. Did that answer the question?
No.
So,
No,
try it again.
because before you came, that was never how we did it.
That was the exact way it was always designed. Yeah, I don't, very rarely change rate structure.
I think because she's looking here and then you come down here, and that's half,
Yeah.
half of what this is. And she's
Yeah.
trying to figure out why.
There's
the
not even
difference
a
is.
6,000 right there, or 5,000. You go from less than 1,500 to 50, all the way to 8,000 now. That's just crazy.
So let's look at the two sides. This is your volume metric rates up here. And your volume metric rates are 29.62 per thousand for the first sector. That's called the Times Lot. Then the next 5,000 rounds are 27.22 per thousand. And then the next 10,000. So what we're doing, we're covering our fixed costs over the model. Like that.
Hey, guys.
And more than you use. Down here, we've got something different. This is your base charge. This is what everybody pays regardless of what they use. You know, I could. This is the way your rates are set up for like the work you on your suicide account. I just kept them the same. You know, it doesn't really make any difference here what these are because you're still gonna pay these.
This is just the base rate.
And we say that, so. So the, if we take the 29.62 and multiply it by 1.5, we should get something very close. So it just shows you that 44.44, we just need to run through this rate schedule.
When they take trailers away, does it go back down?
So, but to get the, if you use 3,000 gallons, you gotta go down here to the $8,000 price.
No, this is the size of your meter. So all your residential meters are gonna be 5/8 to 3/4, you're gonna have commercial meters that are.
Okay, this is just a flat fee.
Yeah, that's the flat fee.
Exactly.
It's like a minimum
All
charge.
right, okay.
Sorry, I didn't explain
And
that.
Steve, is it right,
That makes more sense to me, thank you.
Okay.
is the first 1,500 gallons included in the flat rate?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what-
The
that's
base
what she
charge
was trying to figure
is
out.
1.5
All of us
times
was, I think.
the rate for the first 3,000.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
So, the rate hearing, what I'm suggesting is, and given the timetable we're on, it kind of has to work like this. The rate hearing would be a part of your April 14th meeting. The ordinance I passed out to you tonight contemplates that. Attached to the ordinance is the Appendix A, which are the rates that Steve is proposing and has deemed to be necessary in order to secure the funding we have to have to finish the project. Tonight, we're introducing ordinance 2026-02, which is the first step in the adoption of a rate ordinance process. But we would put it on the agenda for you to take action on it at the April 14th meeting after the public hearing, at which members of the public would have an opportunity to ask questions and voice objections. Tonight, all we're needing to do, and I mean, all that really is sort of appropriate to do is simply introduce it and kind of explain to you what's coming. I will advertise the public hearing in the paper, and Lori, I sent you an email on our outside customers. I know you've been
I haven't
away.
been able to look.
I know, but I'm just telling you, it's there.
Yeah, I did see that. You said
Okay.
it. I don't know.
No, I don't need you to answer tonight, I
Okay.
just want to alert you that it's there, and I do
That's all.
need to verify that that list remains the same, and if it's different, I need to
I
know
will.
who they are now,
Yes.
because we have to fill those out. And then,
Absolutely.
and then you can, consider the ordinance and take action on it, on April 14th. That'll give us plenty of lead time to get that implemented and be able to say to state revolving fund that we have put in place rates that are sufficient to be able to service the debt that we're hoping you will loan to us in order to make, to get the project done, and with every expectation that so long as we do what we're supposed to, which is impose rates that will create the revenue, they will in fact make that loan. And I've no doubt they will. I've no doubt they won't if you don't adopt the increased rates. So that's kind of setting up for the next meeting.
How much of a reduction in expenses for operating sewer plant would you have to show in order to, I mean, I know it's too late, this is already a done process, but how much droppage in expenses to operate a sewer plant? Because supposedly with this new sewer plant, with some different processes, it could be cheaper.
I've got.
Well, he said part of the rate increase is based on you have to show so much money after operating expenses and all that stuff, and then you have to put some money in the pool for upcoming.
And Keegan's gonna correct me here, and he should, because he knows this and I don't. But I asked the engineers early on, you know, will there be a savings or an additional cost to run the new plant? And they told me here, there's an additional cost.
Just
And that
power.
additional cost, power is
It's a big
63,
part of it.
so we've got, in this rate structure, we've got an additional $63,000 of money coming in to pay for those future costs of running the plant. I haven't factored in any reduction, and if we do have a reduction in the future, it's kind of pie in the sky, we could reduce the rates, you know, I could come back in a year and see what we're looking at. But I've only done that twice in 40 years.
I was
Is
gonna say,
reduce
how
rates.
many times have you reduced rates?
It's extremely rare, yeah, twice in 40 years.
But you also mentioned to me a couple weeks ago on the phone that you had instances where different parts of the town get charged a different rate.
Area rates.
But it was
We do
very
that.
hard to.
Yeah, so, that's called area rates, it's in Indiana, I've done a few cases like that, where the clients ask me to. It's hard in a town like Portland, because what you're trying to show is that the rate to the customer and what you're billing the customer is actually what it costs to provide that service. You know, you're not really making any money, you're essentially a not-for-profit, and you're just trying to collect the cost of what you're selling, and you're trying to set your rate structure up so that the customers that generate the costs are paying that cost, and not, you know, they're not paying for somebody else's costs. And, in a town like this, it would be rare unless we could show that there's some reason why, one part of town is costing more, than another. A lot of cities and towns have an inside town rate and an outside of town rate, and they charge more for customers outside the town limits. And currently, there's a statute, that if that rate is over a certain percentage, 15%, or an inside rate to the outside rate, that those customers have the ability to petition, even though you're not under IURC regulation and the Utility Commission, they have the ability, even though you're not under IURC regulation, to petition them to prove those rates and are valid. So I always recommend if we do the inside-outside rates, we never go over 15%, so we don't open the door to somebody complaining and bringing somebody in to look over our shoulder. We can do a lot with your rates. Your rates are pretty typical of what you see in Indiana and throughout the United States, and that's a good thing. You know, you want to be doing about the same thing that your neighbors are doing because you want business and people to come here rather than someplace else. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing if you can say our rates are pretty typical even after we've had 3 rate increases in the past.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
But also, when you said one part of town, I mean, I know for a fact that sewer line that they put in from the vault clear down to the sewer plant is for the mobile community, and there's no way we can.
We can't. I mean, I think, and maybe this is of interest to some of you out there, this idea that we could charge a different rate or a premium rate to some customers as opposed to others. There has to be something different about the group of customers paying a higher rate than the customers paying a lower rate. Like sometimes when you annex in new territory or you try to accommodate businesses or something and you extend your facilities out to capture a new customer base, you might be able to charge some of that cost to that new subgroup of customers in order to get the service out there. It's that kind of scenario. The problem with the mobile home park is when the property was annexed and the town took over that system 12 years ago, for reasons I don't understand, I wasn't involved, I have a packet this thick that is the litigation packet. I've not gone through it because I can't do anything about it anyway. But when the deal was cut to take over that system, there was an agreement that the rate would be an amount of money that was agreed on at that time. And what the agreement tells us is, when rates are increased to everybody else by a percentage, if that's 10% across the board to all the other customers in Brooklyn, then that rate up in the mobile home park goes up by 10% too. But it starts at the rate that was negotiated and agreed to in that agreement. We can't calculate a different rate for them based on them costing us more, because they're a different kind of a customer, because the rate starts out at the number that was agreed on between those who are negotiating an agreement on behalf of the town and those who negotiate agreement on behalf of the mobile home park. I don't know how that number got to be that number. I don't know why the town took it in. I don't know why the litigation ended up being about or how it got resolved. I think it's probably because the town had a legal obligation to provide services and it didn't or couldn't. But however it got to be what it turned out being, we're stuck with it. And so Steve maybe would be able to devise a way to charge a different rate to a different group of customers. But the way that would really help Brooklyn is if we could do that to the customers in the mobile home park, or to the mobile home park as our largest customer. But whatever the law allows, whatever the statute allows in the way of different classes of customers being charged different rates, we don't have that available to us because their rate was fixed by the agreement. We're stuck. So, and I think that's what you're getting at, and I surely think that some of you sitting out there must wonder, why don't we charge them more? They cost us more. And that's the reason. So,
Could we implement a rate increase to customers that we don't supply water to? Because our sewer bill is based off of our water bill.
there is an unmetered rate that is charged to customers that we don't provide water to. And I'm curious to know, are there many of those?
Well, we don't provide water to the mobile home community.
No, I know, but we're stuck with the agreement there.
And we don't on Ron Road and.
I think there are just a very few others that fall into that category.
Yeah.
And they do pay a fairly significant rate. It's a calculation Steve does based on how do we charge them, because we don't have a water reading to base it on. But they're not getting any kind of a deal out of it, that's for sure. So, anyway, that's a unique fact relating to Brooklyn and the mobile home park that, we're powerless to do anything about it. So I don't know whether I need to talk so long, but I thought that's what you were
No,
getting.
that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Seems like this project is more beneficial to one section of town than it is to everyone else. I mean, there's-
It happens like that sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but everybody's paying their share of it. So.
It happens like that oftentimes.
And the fact that their rates always are gonna be, they'll take the same increase we take, but their rates are always gonna be lower than ours, because it was litigated that way back.
Well, I mean, it started at that point.
Right.
Once you step off from that 39.77, which was the agreed upon rate, their percentage is the same as everybody else's.
Right.
And I really don't think that's right. I think their rate probably turns out to be
No,
higher
no,
than
listen,
everybody
listen,
else's.
right.
Because at the point that rate was set, everybody else was paying less than 39.77. So I don't think that they're getting a lower rate than anybody else. It's just that they may be costing us more. That's where the inequity lies. So I don't think, there's nothing more that you need to do with this tonight.
Other than introduce the rate.
Well, I mean, we've introduced it, yeah, I mean, it's been presented to them, so.
Anyone else have any questions for Steve? you next month.
Look forward to it. Probably won't look forward to seeing me. I always bring bad news.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll try to do better next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, moving on to, claims. Everybody has a chance to look at the, claims yet?
Yeah, I make a motion to pay the bills.
We got a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried by all. I guess, Steve's not gonna take any questions from you all, but.
Well, we have a public hearing.
Right. All right. Number one, Melissa Bryant.
I know that the board has a procedure to address abandoned properties. There are 4 abandoned properties, abandoned houses, on South Church Street that are in really ill repair. 2 of them are right off the corner of Church and East. And then the other 2 are further down, almost to the curve. Are we addressing those? Is anything going on with them? If we are, where are we at? If we're not, can we start?
We can.
Are they abandoned or are they unsafe or both?
Both. I mean,
Okay,
the
well-
doors are open on some of them, animals run in and out of them, they look horrible.
If you can, like, even give more addresses of that.
One of them is, the house that
Debbie
Debbie
Weiss
Weiss lived in, and then the one on
I
the
think that's the
corner.
Board of Health.
Yeah, the one on the corner of East
The White
and
House.
Church, yeah.
It's all
Right,
boarded up.
it's right beside her house. isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then on the opposite side of the road, one of them is, the Eggers old house, and the other one is back this way from the Eggers old house.
It's across from Tony Baines' place, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, it's across from Tony's.
Okay, I know what that's.
But
at.
yeah,
One old
they,
man who died is a.
Yeah. yeah, they all 4 just look horrible, and I'm sure their neighbors are tired of looking at them.
Is anybody maintaining, is anybody maintaining yards or anything in them or?
No.
I mean, it's been winter, but no,
Well,
it hadn't been
prior.
previously.
There has been people come over to the one,
And
not on the, not the one sported up, the one next to it. There has been a few people come over there. I don't know if maybe the owner's trying to sell it and try to get it off. I know it's there, or get it off his hands. I know it's, they had a cleaning crew in there at one point in time, and that's been months ago. And, I think they had like a 40-yard dumpster out there, and they overfilled it and didn't even make a dent really in the house. It's
Okay.
like a hoarder's situation, what I've been told.
I'll get offline with Melissa and write those addresses or locations down, get them on the radar. See what we can do about getting them taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
I know, the one across from the Baines, he's paying the property tax, cause if you pay it for 10 years, it's yours.
Yeah, but it still needs to be maintained. If it's not gonna be maintained, then the town needs to do something about it.
But we tear it down and he gets to buy it for nothing.
Well, if he's paying property tax, you should.
You should have to take care of the yard,
Yeah,
or we take care of it, pay, charge it.
I mean, if we have to tear it down, we should put a lien on the property.
There's a property that's abandoned, people passed away, so some other residents paying property taxes on it.
Well, they also have to possess it. They can't just pay the property tax.
So you just don't pay property tax, it's yours after 10 years.
No.
No, you have to maintain.
No, you have to adversely possess it, and one of the requirements is that you also have to be paying the tax. It's one of several criteria that have to be met.
I think for the town, you have to pay to tear it down, and then he gets the benefits of it.
But it's a lien against the property that will have to be paid if the town doesn't incur the expense.
I'll get you the information on that a little after.
I mean, the town has procedures to follow to do it. We've done it, yeah,
I'm
we've
gonna
done
say,
it before on a
I'm
couple
gonna say
properties.
building person, so.
think I saw there was about $10,000 in that account. I think I just heard.
Yeah, there's more somewhere, but yeah.
Oh, we're messing.
Oh, you mean it looked like, you
No.
know?
I can
No,
tell it, no, it's in our
I,
appropriation.
right now it's
Okay.
10, yes.
All right.
And the other.
All right, we're going
I need
to, number 2, JR.
Just curious, he said they're looking at the increase because there's less trailers, in essence. So what if they move some back in?
And it goes up.
No, I mean. then-
Hopefully a reduction, but.
Well, he just said he's done it twice in 40 years.
Yeah.
Rates ain't going down. I mean,
I know, they're not answers that make anybody feel very good, but I think the way, the good that comes out of that is, or if costs of operation go down, or whatever we talk about, and people will say, well, we're gonna lower rates, that really doesn't happen. The benefit is that when you look at rates and a need to increase rates in 5, 6, 7 years, or whenever you do that, you don't have to increase them as much then as what you would have otherwise if the good stuff hadn't happened. And that's a hard thing to explain to ratepayers. You don't, it's hard to see, it's hard to appreciate, but that's how it works.
no, so I was through all those meetings when they were discussing getting the funding because it started out with the whole IRS mess and then working through. How was the numbers, they moved out 32 trailers in a matter of, like,
They never really had
No,
that, right?
they, as I think is apparent, is they don't manage the properties as well as they probably could because they, have been paying bills on time. And I think, as I understand it, and I think know to be true, what happened for some period of time was the monthly bill that goes to the trailer park is based on the per unit rate times the number of units that are connected to our system. And for a number of years, they agreed, the management there agreed that they were gonna pay for 500 trailers every month, times the monthly rate. I don't think there were ever 500. I think there's only lots for 494. But there was kind of a deal struck with the town that we'll just pay it based on 500. And that's just what it was every month. Nobody counted them, nobody paid any attention. It was a good deal for the town because we were getting more money than we should have been getting. When the rate went up, they started paying attention. They thought, oh, cool, now look how much this is. So then they cared about counting their trailers. And when they went up and counted them, they realized that there are only 494 lots, not 500. And out of those 494, there are 32 that don't have trailers on them, or have trailers on them that aren't connected. So it wasn't that they drove 32 of them out. They just actually counted how many there actually were and fine-tuned the number. That's how that came to be.
All right.
And the hope is, what the attorney tells me, because I really kind of pressed him on this, is, they bought this thing, management did, surely they want it to be successful, they want it to make money. I mean, are they committed to trying to market it and add to the numbers? He says they are. I mean, that's the best business decision they can make, right? We want them to add numbers, but most importantly, we don't want them to lose any more numbers because we don't want to lose revenue. If we make revenue, then we have more money that we can spend without having to increase rates as we go. But we're rooting for them to be really successful up there. Move in a bunch of trailers.
Okay, since this contract began, they were supposed to be paying for 500.
No, they're supposed to pay for the number of trailers that are connected to our system at any given time.
Okay, so it wasn't 500.
It was not.
Okay.
It was just kind of lackadaisical. They said, we'll just base it on that. So that's why.
All right, moving on to, number 4, James Worling.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up about the electric rates, I'm gonna whip you some quick numbers. You're charging us 13 cents per kilowatt right now, right? And you were charging us 19 cents per kilowatt. 3.5 years ago, I've calculated on all my bills. And you've been overcharging us 6 cents per kilowatt for 3.5 years. And in that, you've overcharged me about $1,800 in that 3.5 years. And I'm just one of the 570 meters you have in the town. So multiply that $1,800 by 5 cents, what do you get? You'll come up
What
with
you're saying isn't true.
$1,026,000. That's what you've taken from us.
That's your figures, that's not true.
Well, hey, the figures don't lie.
Yeah, okay.
No, they don't lie. You can look at every one of my bills. I have every one of my bills for those years. I'm just saying, I want my $1,800 back.
And you're getting a monthly, discount on the rate for the next, you said 3.5 years?
13 cents is what RMC charges per kilowatt, and they have
About
for
RMC,
3.5 years.
Yeah, but they might charge that per kilowatt, but we also pay a monthly fee on it, and a bunch of other stuff.
I'm just
I
going
have
by the
RMC.
kilowatt
You don't want
sake.
it.
You all charge the same monthly fee.
No, we don't.
RMC does. You're on RMC, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you can read it on every one of your bills. You can figure out how many kilowatts you use a day. You can go on RMC's site. I can't do that here.
We're not that big of a company.
Well, you better be,
No, we're not.
because the state of Indiana is gonna be coming after you guys.
Okay.
They're already investigating AES, Duke. They've sent the Utility Regulatory Commission after them.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get them to come after you.
Good for you.
All right, moving on, Leslie Curtis. No. Mark Wolf.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions, I think Mike's my first one, but, you know, when you're going out of Brooklyn,
Can we hold it down so we can,
when you're going out of Brooklyn, just before you get to railroad tracks, the roads are kind of leading there, and we picked up an minor hole here in the last few weeks and stuff. I was just curious how, if we're, the town of Brooklyn's in charge of that?
Where at?
Well, you know where Dairyland is? That's, okay, if you come back over the railroad tracks, just come over the railroad tracks?
They're on Knox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's several spots, there's one in the middle.
Well, once the weather and we don't have rain sitting in there,
Yes.
the coal patch don't set or bond with it wet.
Okay.
Yeah,
So much
and I don't have
railroad.
access to a hot box to be able to use hot mix.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were gonna repair that little 10 foot wide.
Part of that, you know,
If it's right by the railroad tracks, it's the easement that
Yeah.
the railroad
Well,
has
it's
to do
just
that.
just past the railroad.
I think it's just passed, but
Okay.
like I said, I know what you're talking about now. So I just got a skid of coal patch in,
Okay.
so as soon as we get,
Kind of curious on that one. The other one is the stretch of road that got replaced going down Old 67. Just from the dollar store straight out.
that's Martinsville or county, or Mooresville, I'm sorry.
That's more than.
That chipped and sealed it,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Moores,
That's more to go.
county, sorry, that's county.
Do they ever think about, is that what they're gonna leave it as? or-
Yes.
For now, so what that chip and seal does, it prolongs the life of the road for about 10 years.
Okay.
So, and then eventually, by the time they get, the funding to be able to mill it down, repave it, they can do that.
Well, and also, lines need to be painted because it's.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right, cause they should come back and paint that.
Because I was coming down the road the other night, real bad weather, and I'm going, I gotta slow down.
That's any road. At night, when it's raining, it's hard to see the lines.
Yeah. So, just kind of curious about the two roads.
Yeah.
all right, moving on to, Valerie Lance, number 8.
Yes, I'm working here tonight with Jeremiah Johnson. He's my neighbor. If you recall, I worked with, I brought up sidewalks. I worked with that for about a year. Jeremiah moved in not long ago, and we were talking, and he brought up the sidewalk in front of his new home.
Yeah.
I will let him take over and kind of fill you in, and then I'll take it from there.
I noticed some of the sidewalks, just like walking around in the neighborhoods, some of them are broken up and whatnot, and I've seen kids, like walking to school, and that's one of my big concerns. I mean, when it rains, it floods up because of the broken concrete and whatnot. I didn't know if maybe there might be a plan, or maybe a future plan to maybe replace some of them, or at least look into it.
So through our community crossings grant through the state, if we are working on a road section that has sidewalk needs, we can repair those in the grant. Replace them. Aside from that, we don't have a plan today.
Right.
Of regular sidewalk replacement.
May I approach?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, here's a picture of the sidewalk in front of his property. This is on Church Street, 105 Church Street, right here. This is Jeremiah Johnson.
So North Church, South Church?
That's all. Yeah.
North Church, the south side. We're looking at South Church. North doesn't have to. Okay. No, I just made it worse, so I can see it. That's it.
Is that on the side, though, like you were saying, going here to church? Is it on the left side, because we replaced the one on the right side?
Right, some of them are replaced.
Yes.
Now, I also have this from.
Yeah, if you're coming like down South Church Street from the church, yeah, it's on the right hand side.
It's on the east side of the road.
Yeah.
And then here's my box. I usually use my box to come in now, so. Okay. Oops. Penmanship is.
Now, is there any money like set aside for that, by chance?
Not in this year's budget.
Okay.
I know there's a street and alley,
Right on here. And then I have my pen handy.
That loader, highway.
I know when I first moved in, they've done sidewalks, or right before I moved in, 10 years ago.
13, 24.
All right, moving on.
10, 26. Yes, I believe I had her.
Are you done, Valerie?
24. No, not quite.
Valerie, you've put some time into this.
Absolutely.
Well,
yes.
yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
got the,
But you know
how
what?
many feet, how many miles?
She walks it all the time.
This is amazing.
And this one's for you.
Yeah, she should be, she
Yeah.
All right.
should create a position for that.
Now,
Can you put
my
it
thought, as far as how to pay for this, is to do this cluster. The first 4, there's a cluster there, and that would include Mr. Johnson's, Church Street stretch.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be quite a full, I think it added up to 700, 900 something feet altogether. Maybe just do that much. All the walks that are on those, that for the first 4 walks, they're all in bad shape, like this picture.
Valerie, I'm sorry, is that 480 or 460?
Oh, wait. Am I right to say part of the student road money, all that is also sidewalk money?
I don't know, I'll have to look.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe HPD, I don't know. I can't know that. There might be some money someplace. I think when I brought this up last time, there was the COVID money, but I don't know what happened to that.
He got put into payroll.
Okay, all right.
It went elsewhere, then it came back.
What about the rainy day?
Paying for, I believe, the water.
Okay, because if I realize you have to, you have to set appropriate them for all the spends nothing.
Listen,
I don't think it'd been replaced for that reason, so I said I've been here for 30 years.
Okay, I think some, yeah.
We'll start doing some research, see what's in it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you. Did I
Dave
give you
Lewis.
one? That's my pen. Oh. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Floor is yours, Dave.
I'll chase you down.
How much money have we got earmarked for paving this year?
not enough.
Well, so there's
Nothing.
current,
You don't have anything in there.
well, there's nothing earmarked, but it says we have 25,000.
What's the motor vehicle highways? And what's the MVH and restricted motor highway?
Correct.
LDH restricted we can use for paving only, yes. That's 25.
Cause we had to put, in that half of it back.
We have to put, yeah, we have, that's why we have two funds, we've got the NVH and NVHR. The restricted can only be used for paving only. I'm wondering if that's the NVH, like what you was talking about with the sidewalk.
Yeah, I think it is, but I could be wrong.
But the restricted is roads only.
Yeah, because we used it before.
I don't know.
It's been a long time. I put some
We have any idea
sidewalks.
what
One church down there.
I've got to get with them.
What was that last name? Banning?
But we did have just sidewalk,
maybe-
but then
maybe
she merged them together.
Do less, but do more of the sidewalks.
Yeah, I remember the Dana sidewalks.
Mhm. Yeah,
The
they used to.
NVH is sidewalks and then the R is only, okay.
Too, so.
Right, you're
How to
right.
do.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah, I guess the paving itself, we don't.
We haven't, discussed what street, and we're gonna get with our, engineering firm and do the whole, assessment of the roads. But there's, what did we say, about $150,000 in funds. We haven't earmarked any of that yet, but
All right, how much have you got set back for sidewalks?
That's part.
it's all part of it.
It's part of it.
It's all,
No, it's always separate.
not no
not-
more.
it's not anymore.
It used to be separate, you're right, but now it's all together.
Oh, okay. Have a way to hide the money or something?
I don't know why that is, I have no idea.
All right, the last question is how much does our electric cost you guys? How many cents a kilowatt does it cost Brooklyn? Is it 3 cents, 5 cents, 12 cents, how much? I've been asking that for 3 years and I wanna know an answer finally.
I don't know.
I
Who pays the bill?
can't tell you tonight, I don't know.
Who pays the bill? She should know.
Well, somebody should find out, because I would like to know, you're
I'll
always asking
answer
for
for you,
more
Dave.
money because you say, we're not making enough money, but let us say you're paying 6 cents and you're charging us 13 cents, 7 cents, you should be making plenty of money. Now, if you're paying 12 cents for it, it's a different story. But I know that this whole deal
We said that,
originally
but we
went
pay
down.
employees out of that fund too, so.
Just
we
a
really
minute, let me finish that. What originally happened in this town, the reason we're stuck with IMPA is they were like a quarter of a cent higher than Duke Energy, but they thought they could save us money in the long run. And that has not been the case over the years. We have done nothing but pay more and more and more and more, and I just wanna know what profits you're making. It's just simple. That gentleman over there, I was unaware that I knew that there was a difference in price between my residential and my commercial, which commercial is always generally cheaper than residential, but not in Brooklyn, it's the other way around. And I was unaware that we were paying 19 cents a kilowatt. And now that I know it, I'm gonna be looking at my budget. I think these people should get their money back.
Do the math.
I did. You can't take your usage and divide it by the dollar amount. That's not how the formula works.
No.
If you come in, I will be more than happy to show you how it works. It is 13 cents per kilowatt.
When you charge for cons,
Yes, you
and
cannot divide the
then
cons
over here
by,
it says electric charge, you tell me how you divide that.
you come in the office and I will show you to the penny how it's done. You don't just take that dollar amount
Why
and divide
can't
it
you
up.
tell all of us right here?
Because it's a formula.
She don't have that
I
formula
have
in
the
front of her.
formula. Yeah, I
I
have
need to
the
make an
formula.
appointment with her to go in.
Let me tell you something. I've listened to these formulas for 23 years. I've sat right here in these meetings, and Becky me and her got in a god-awful fight because her and her rate guy sat right there and said, your electricity's gonna go up only by 0.00025. And when they got through saying I was the only person against it, all the people in the room, I said, so you're telling me it's going up 25%? And they looked at me and said, you're an idiot. And you know what? 30 days later, the bills came, it was 25%, everybody was, how did this happen? I said, I told you that's what they were doing. It's all in the way you word things.
All right, Dave, so,
Mr. Trump is always right, it's how you work it.
all right, anybody who has an issue with the electric bill and would like to see how it is figured out, Lori's more than willing to show you how. At this time, we're closing public comments. I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I second that motion.
Have a motion and second, all in favor?